The best is the Terran, just because they're just down and dirty, and everything about them is very, I don't know, heavy metal. So, but it's hard to say. We've been working on the Zerg the past couple, it's been more than a couple months. Zerg are pretty awesome too. It's hard to say, because each of them, they're so unique from each other. They each have their own things that are appealing about them. I've been playing a lot of Protoss. Terran is probably my favorite, but it's hard to say with the Zerg now. They're getting pretty bad.
Your animations are pretty amazing.
Now, another question that I had for you was, you mentioned last year, one of the big surprises last year was that Blizzard was breaking StarCraft and StarCraft 2 into sort of 3 separate campaigns.
Yeah.
So you're obviously still working on the first one, Wings of Liberty, but tell me a bit about the second and the third game. Where are you guys at in terms of working on those conceptually? And it seems like it's going to be a multi-year sort of arc here to go through all 3 of these games.
Yeah, we're still kind of deciding what we want to do. We have basic story ideas and basic story arcs that we want. But I think it's a little bit better that we don't get anything too solid right now, because 6 months from now, we're going to want to change it, and then we'd have to redo everything. Right now,
focus on this game.
We're focusing on the Wings of Liberty, and, we have a lot of stuff we still want to do with this game before we even move on.
Right.
If they say, hey, you have an extra week before we have to work on this, we'll take that week and be polishing something that we thought was substandard.
Now, how much time, I know you talked about this before, but how much time do you guys want to plan after beta testing finally closes to be able to make adjustments based on feedback?
We take a lot of the information as the beta's plan and tweak it, but we're not going to be doing a lot of artistic changes then. If there's for some reason a unit or 2 that people just hate, we'll probably fix them, their logistics, as opposed to redoing the whole thing.
Absolutely.
So yeah, hopefully with beta we won't have too many things we have to change other than numbers and balance.
Excellent. All right, well, Samwise, thank you. We will see you tomorrow and see you live on stage. Let's go right down to the main hall for another panel.
Class, items, and professions panel.
Oh, we have 4 chairs, and I'm on. Outstanding. We good? I guess we're good.
We're good?
All right.
Hello.
Oh, it's bright.
I'm Greg. You might know me as Ghost Crawler. You might know me as that asshole that nerfed your class. With me are the magnificent Travis Day, who is in charge of item design on WoW, and John LeCraft, who is in charge of profession design on WoW. We got a lot to cover today, so I'm just going to go right into it. All right, we have 2 new races you've probably heard. And here are the Goblin racials. You guys can read, so I'm not going to read all this through you, but Goblins have a rocket jump that enables them to launch through the air, and they also have a rocket barrage where they can put a turret down and fire at enemies, preferably in battlegrounds. These 2 are on a shared cooldown, so you get to pick the rocket or the damage. Second, time is money. Goblins have a permanent passive 1% increase to attack and casting speed. The best possible gold discount, regardless of reputation. And you can call in your personal pack hobgoblin, allowing you to access the bank every 30 minutes. Now, this is a lot of racial, so one of the things we might do is slowly unlock them over time. So maybe at low level you don't get every one of them, but you'll get them pretty quickly. Finally, better living through chemistry. You get an alchemy bonus, and any of your potions that you make with your alchemy skill will give you more health or mana. Pretty sweet. All right. we have one more race. Worgen have no racials at all, but you get to be a Worgen, which is good enough. All right, seriously. Dark flight is like a charge or a sprint. You activate your true form. I'll go into that a little more in a second. Increasing your movement speed. You're very vicious.
You didn't tell them what viciousness does.
What?
You didn't explain vicious.
It was up there.
Oh, they're just reading it? Okay.
I don't need to read it. Reduced duration of curses and diseases. There's a couple classes out there that can put diseases on you. And you get a skinning bonus. You can skin creatures fast, and you don't even need a knife. Okay, we've gotten a few questions about how exactly does Worgen form work, and here's how it works. Basically, you get to go into Worgen form because you want to look cool. We didn't want it to grant any combat bonuses. It's strictly visual. Whenever you go into combat, you immediately become a Worgen. You can be a human or a Worgen outside of combat. So if you want to sit around the auction house and wolf out, you're cool to do that. Now here is the summary of all the classes available to the Goblins and Worgen. The Goblins can do almost anything they want. They don't have Paladins or Druids. And then the Worgen can be anything except for Paladins and Shamans. There was a rumor that they couldn't be priests, but we want to have Worgen priests. Particularly shadow form female Worgen will look awesome. Okay. The first time announcing these brand new race classes that nobody has heard of until right now. Undead Hunter. Blood Elf Warrior. They said it couldn't be done. Tarn Paladin. Oh, it's got cut off just a little bit on my screen. This is the money shot here. These are all the new races and classes. If you want to post this on your fan site, this is the matrix you want to post. Got that? Okay. Alliance. Dwarf Shaman, it's true. They learned from their friends, the Draenei. Needs no explanation. Benediction's a nice touch there. Human Hunters. The Night Elf Mage. The Return of the Highborn. And then here are all the new Alliance classes. Draenei didn't get anything. The only thing they were missing were like Druids, Rogues, and Warlocks, which none of those really made a lot of sense lore-wise, so there's plenty of Draenei already. Warlocks. What we did last year with the class panels, we tried to go through every class and say, here's some of your new abilities. It went pretty quick and we didn't have a lot of time to spend on each individual class, so sorry, but I'm not going to get to go through every single class in the game today. We're going to go into a little bit more detail into two of them. Here's one of them. This is what you've been waiting for, I promised. Soul Shards. No longer in your bags. We want them to be fun and not a hassle. And there it is. So as you can see, our Fair Warlock here has 3 Soul Shards, a new user interface for Warlocks. They're only on your UI. They're never going to be in your inventory again. The whole design here is that you're blowing your cooldowns. When you want to do something cool, it's time to burn a shard. They're only used in combat. You're not going to be summoning. You're not going to be getting demons or anything using your shards. Now, this is important. This is supposed to be a core feature of the Warlock class. We don't want shards to be something that you kind of forget about and put on the back burner. If you're a Warlock, you need to think about shards. If you're casting spells and you're not thinking about shards, then you probably want to play a mage and not a Warlock. So 3 shards per fight. We're toying with the idea that maybe Demonology gets a 4th shard as kind of a kit thing, but assume about 3 per fight. They come back very quickly out of combat. It could be that they just come back on their own, or it could be that you have to do some kind of easy spell to get them back. We don't want you to say, like, stop an arena to drink and get your shards back then, but basically it's supposed to be that I'm in combat, I'm using my shards, now I have them back next time I go into combat. And it is possible to get more for long fights or mistakes. We don't want you to be like, oops, I blew them too soon and now I'm screwed. So, maybe Drain Soul is the shard version of Evocation. You can get a shard back that way for a brief DPS penalty. So, the way the shards work is all around a single new spell. We are calling it Soul Burn. I have no idea if this will be what it finally ships with, but you get the idea. Costs 1 shard. No other spell costs shards. Has a short cooldown and is off the GCD because what happens is when you use Soul Burn, it amplifies your very next spell. Almost all spells, not every one of them, but a lot of your spells will behave when you use Soul Burn before you cast it. And I'll show you some examples. And again, no other spell costs shards. This is it. So these are just some examples. These have not been thoroughly vetted or explored, but this is the kind of thing we want to do. Soul Burn Searing Pain means 3 crits for the next 3 Searing Pains. If you want to get your demon out quickly because it's died, you need to swap demons. This is like your new version of Feldom. Instant Soul Fire if you want that Palm Pyro effect. Instant Fear. And you can see something like Death Coil would longer on the horror effect and more healing received. Basically, we don't want it just to be more for every one of your spells. We want some of them to be a little bit more interesting, but this is the basic idea. Okay. Hunters. I know there's a few of you left. Mana. Ready? There you go. So, hunters now use focus, no longer use mana, no longer care about intellect, no longer worry about aspect of the Viper. Focus regenerates continuously, a little like energy, and then Steady Shot improves the rate of getting focus back. So as a comparison here, Rogue Energy comes back about 10 per second. Hunter Focus would come back a little slower than that, and unless you're using Steady Shot, then it would come back a little faster. You have 100 focus, and a shot might cost 30 or 60, something in that. It'll depend on the exact shot. One of the things this lets us do to the Hunter class that we think it's in desperate need of is it lets us take a lot of the cooldowns off the abilities. Now you can use an ability based on its focus cost or what it does to your other abilities and not be managing those constant, oh, this lasts 6 seconds, this lasts 10 seconds. We have no purpose for Aspect the Viper anymore because you don't need mana. Maybe we'll keep it, let it do something else. I don't know. We did promise to make ammo an item, not a consumable. We're still going to do that for Cataclysm. And I'm now going to turn it over to Travis to talk to you a little about some exciting changes we have in the way we're going to do stats for items.
And that's me. Left, right. How you doing? Can y'all hear me? All right, I'm going to talk about something that most y'all don't care about, which is items in our game. One of the things we want to do going into the next expansion, talk louder. Is that it? Is that not loud enough? Okay.
There you go.
All right. So, talking about itemization, moving into Cataclysm, we wanted to streamline a bunch of stats, get rid of some of the ones that didn't make sense anymore, make some of the stats that have been in the game since ship that were bad, not bad anymore, and just make them easier to understand in general. So the first one, Mana 5. I know most of you who have it hate it, and I'm sorry I keep shoving it down your throat, so it's gone. But you get Spirit. Right? Oh, yeah, I know. However, Spirit, so basically we did a lot of talking about this, decided the whole concept of Spirit Regen. Managing resources is generally not fun for anyone that's not a healer. They're really the only people that ever want to use any kind of mana regen mechanic. So what we did is we're going to give all the healers some form of meditation or in-combat regen, maybe just change how Spirit works to work kind of like Mana 5 in addition. And mages and warlocks, you just don't have to deal with it anymore. I promise. Spell power, that's also gone. Don't panic, it's okay. Instead, what we're going to do, intellect, we're going to make it stop sucking, and intellect is going to provide your mana and spell power now. And as Greg pointed out, yeah, hunters, you can stop dealing with it. Enhancement shamans also, since you share gear with them, you're not going to have to worry with that either. Attack power, gone also. Oh, now you can panic. What we're going to do instead, though, is try to differentiate the purpose of what it started out as and what it became. Kind of confusing. Everyone takes it. What we're going to do instead is turn agility into the attack power for the rogues and the hunters. So agility is going to provide 2 AP the same way strength does for plate-wearing classes, for rogues, hunters, shamans, druids. And plate-wearers won't steal your gear anymore. There you go. Defense, another one. That's gone. Do you really want to juggle around the defense gap? Honestly. No, don't lie. Basically what we're going to do is for the tanks, for the people that it's actually needed for the only thing it's needed for, which is the anti-crit, we're going to implement that in more of a survival of the fittest form. Just like Feral Druids run with right now. Armor penetration. This one actually is gone. It's just caused too many problems. Most people don't understand how it works since it doesn't do exactly what you think it would do. We're replacing that with a stat called Mastery, which we'll be getting into more later, I believe, in the systems panel, which is tomorrow, Greg?
Yep.
Okay. If you want to know what Mastery does, systems panel tomorrow, you'll get a little insight into how that's going to work. But basically, whatever you like to do, Mastery makes you better at it. So if you like to heal, if you like to tank, if you're a hunter and you like your pet, it'll make your pet better. It's magic. Haste. Whoa, 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 whoa. What is this? So we talked a lot about haste, and it's been continuously just causing problems since we implemented, mainly because it does very different things depending on your class or spec. Casters, it basically does what we originally intended it to do, which is you get to push the buttons more. Melee, not so much. So we're going to correct that and let melee push more buttons too. So haste is going to increase the rate that you gain your energy, runes, rage, or focus back for all the melee DPS-oriented classes. Enhancement shamans and run-it-ins, a little bit of work to make that happen, but it'll happen. Block. I know you all love this one too. Block value goes away. Instead, blocks are going to mitigate a percentage of incoming damage, kind of like dodge, I believe, was the last conversation. And then now you can use block as a real mitigation stat, and it's not broken in one part of the game and terrible in a raid boss fight. So prop paladins, there's hope for you somewhere over the rainbow. Stamina. It's gone. No, I'm just kidding. So we're not changing anything with stamina, but basically what it means is since we threw defense out the window, we threw spell power out the window, we threw attack power out the window, got rid of some of the less needed stats, everybody's going to have more hit points. So you all get to have the same hit points as plate wearers, and you don't have to complain anymore about dying on Thorum because you're not a warrior. And then the last thing I wanted to leave you all with before I hand you off to John is the next legendary coming out of our Icecrown raid zone. I know you want Frostmourne, but it's not happening. Instead, you get Shadowmourne. Introducing the next legendary two-handed axe. It's been a while. Ragnaros' hammer's kind of played out. Enjoy. Hope you all enjoyed it. And now I'm passing it off to John LeCraft to talk about professions.
Thank you, sir.
What? Oh, yeah. My bad.
A little surprise for you there. Hi, I'm John LeCraft. I do the professions in WoW, which some of you guys may have heard of before. And you may have heard of a new one this morning called archaeology. You're probably wondering, what's archaeology?
And we're still kind of asking ourselves that to some degree, but we're getting a pretty good hold on it. First off, it's a secondary profession like cooking or fishing, which means everyone is going to get this opportunity to, pull these rare artifacts and, from the ground and experience the rich history of Azeroth, and then make their character more powerful, because that's what we do. The biggest tie-in with the artifacts, and then this is actually in the end game, is it's going to unlock the potential for your paths, the paths of the Titan, which I think Greg went over in one of his tomorrow. Okay, I'm not going to talk. You know nothing about, but it's very cool. And secondly, it's going to give you some very cool, unique rewards. Things like vanity pets. You might have a little T-Rex that's, skeleton, or you might have instant travel to a dungeon because you discovered an underground passage. Titles. You're going to get unique recipes for other professions. Basically, you're just all kinds of random cool stuff that you're finding as you're digging up the world. I got a little, very rough mock-up of the archaeology journal that you're going to have. And so, as you can imagine, you're picking up all these artifacts. You don't have to put them in your bag. They're going to go in your journal. They're just going to be magically in there. And kind of the idea behind the gameplay is it's a gathering skill. Much like the other gathering skills, the world's been cracked open, and so all these artifacts that were kind of buried in the earth are just on the surface. And you need the skill to be able to recognize them, and then the skill to kind of piece these things together. So once you get enough of one type, you do this kind of deciphering thing that we haven't fully defined yet, but it could be quest-like, and it could even be something as crazy as like a kind of a mini game in your little journal. Not sure yet. The big slide for is another way to customize your gear. And one thing I'd like to point out is I know it's kind of daunting to think, oh, I have to enchant my thing, and I have to put gems in it, and now I have to reforge it. But reforging is going to be relatively cheap on the scale of things, so you will need someone to do it, and it's going to be given to blacksmiths, leatherworkers, tailors, jewel crafters, and engineers. And so each one of those professions gets a specific chunk of items that they get to reforge. For example, blacksmiths get to do plate and weapons, and engineers would do trinkets and ranged weapons. So, but what's the capability of this system? So the capability is you get to choose one of the stats on your item, you get to cut it in half, and then all those points you lost you can put into another stat. I can already hear you guys thinking of ways to break the system. So there are going to be some restrictions. So in half and get that as spell power or whatever. But it is going to be good for things like hit or anything else that you're just not excited about that you want to get more of something that you are excited about on that item. And I just wanted to talk about, I'm not going to go over all the professions in detail, but I did want to cover a few other things. Another cool thing we're doing is multi-gains. And multi-gains are the ability, well, let me just give you an example. You're leveling up your trade skill and, say, blacksmithing, and you have the option to make 5 bracers, or you can make this blue breastplate. Each of those bracers gives you 1 skill up, but the blue breastplate's going to give you 5 skill ups. So it allows you to make useful stuff. And we'll probably use that on some gathering skills as well to help smooth out the progression for leveling up, which, you know, may not sound that exciting, but you probably might be leveling up with a Worgen or a Goblin, who knows. Another thing we're going to do with Gathering is we're looking at ways to make them a little more fun, a little more exciting, and a little more compelling for their perks. So more flexibility, you know, so if you're a miner, you don't have to be stuck with your stamina bonus. Maybe you can get something else. And lastly, I just wanted to touch on engineering.
Gone.
Engineering is never gets any complaints. Very easy to do. And now, it's one of those things that just sits on the razor's edge, where it's either amazing or it sucks, and everybody drops it, or they threaten to drop it. And if any of you are engineers and you're familiar with what we did with the last patch, we're going to be doing more of that, where it's more convenience items like, you know, Jeeves and the wormhole generator. Going to be more things like toys and pets and you know, more gadgets with catastrophic failures, that kind of thing. Basically, kind of trying to get back to the roots of where engineering should be. It kind of took on this life of its own as we tried to make it compelling and try to make it stick to the other, you know, or make it hold up to the other trade skills. But I think it will on its own, and it's going to have a lot of fun with it. That's pretty much my presentation. We have some other cool stuff that I don't have on the slide. We got some big changes coming to fishing that I can't talk about yet. We're going to make it more fun. How about that? Yeah, I guess with that, we'll turn it over to Q&A. If you guys even have any questions for us.
You guys, we need to back up.
They're already
back.
lining up. So yes.
All right, everybody. All right, I'd like to remind everybody, please keep it to just one question apiece.
That's a little lot. I can't see
All those people aren't going to be able to answer.
Yeah, are there going to be any racial bonuses changes for the older races?
Almost certainly. We want to kind of catch them up to the newer races' level of cool.
I just want to add one thing there, and especially if you noticed, you know, things like flaying and better living through chemistry, they get the plus skill bonus, and they're also going to get, you know, like a little sub bonus, and that's just one of the many ways that we're going to try to catch, you know, catch all those racials up.
Yeah.
Well, now.
Hi, are all of the professions going up by another 75 points? And if so, what's the new thing even going to be called, like Supermaster?
Yeah, they are going to go up by another 75 points, even though it doesn't necessarily tie in exactly. It's just a good number, and the new title will be Illustrious. So you will be the Illustrious Blacksmith.
Okay, so with the Wrath of the Lich King and we're killing Arthas and everything, why are we doing Worgen and Goblin Death Knights? Doesn't make sense.
First of all, spoiler. We talked a lot about that, and ultimately we decided it was probably just more fun to go ahead and let them be Death Knights than to prevent them from doing it just for lore reasons. It's possible that's something we might change. We haven't put a ton of thought into what it means to be a level 55 Goblin Death Knight.
Hi, I participated on the forums and Ghostcrawler, big fan.
Thanks.
My question is, DPS casters had ATS for about a day, and now there's going to be Shadowmourne, and, well, darn.
Indeed. Yeah, no, that's something that I wanted to get back around to a Caster Legendary. This expansion, couldn't really find the right place for it. I promise I'll make it up. You'll be the first ones on deck in Cataclysm, so I'll make sure you get it right out the gate. We'll get you a caster legendary out of, I have no idea what our first raid is actually, but there'll be one.
Hey, first off, really happy about hearing the casters are going to go to Legend Legendary finally. But my question is that with mages usually leveling, it's basically frost or nothing else. And then with PvE, it's fire or nothing else. Is there going to be, I know there's a lot of questions about getting other specs viable for raiding, but is there going to be any type of work to make other specs viable for leveling? As far as like maybe a fire that's more of a leveling build or arcane is more of a leveling build?
Yeah, that's a great question, because one of the things Cataclysm lets us do, we talked a lot this morning about how we're going to change all of the zones and quests, and that goes for the classes as well. We're going to revisit the level at which you get all of your abilities. One of the crazy things we didn't talk about, but I'll go ahead and announce it now, is that we're getting rid of ranks for all of your abilities. What that means is you'll get Frostbolt, then when you go up and gain a level, Frostbolt will be a little more powerful and a little more powerful. It can scale perfectly with character level instead of going up in these big chunks.
Hi there. Since hunters won't be utilizing mana anymore, how will you modify talents like careful aim to change that? Will you itemizing a different stat for that since intellect won't be viable?
So one of the things we're going to do, if you come to the systems panel tomorrow, we're changing talent trees quite a bit. We're going through them all. Like Tom said this morning, we want to prune some of the less interesting talents that just kind of passively boost you all around. And definitely the hunter talent trees are going to have to change to support this new model. The warlock talent trees will as well.
Hi there. My question is about elemental shamans. In the QA Ghost Crawler, you mentioned that elemental shamans are too much like turrets in Arena. What sort of changes do you plan on implementing for elemental shamans that we can see in the near future?
Well, we did a big one in the last patch, which was the Freedom Wolf, so you do get a little more mobility than you had before. Long term, one of the things we're talking about in Cataclysm, which I've hinted at a little bit, is maybe we get the totems to be more of, there are a couple different ways we can go, but we'd like to get the buffy totems, kind of maybe marginalize those and make totems about when you put down a totem, something cool happens. That would be one way to go. We also, there's some of this I don't want to talk about yet, but we don't want to just go to instant cast for every spell to handle all of the caster PvP problems either. Getting a hard cast is supposed to be a big deal. We want to make that a bigger part of PvP and not always like, because I can't move, I get creamed. So half the question is, we want to let you do cooler things with your totem so you don't feel like a turret. The other half is, when you're a turret, it really should pay off better.
Thank you.
Hey there, about reforging, will there be a limit on how many points you can sacrifice? And is it a profession-only ability?
Well, you don't have to have the profession to reforge your gear necessarily. Other people can do it for you. As far as limits, there probably will be. We haven't really gotten into the details. I mean, you know, you can reforge an item as many times as you want. I guess that we can say that with certainty, but whether or not we let, you know, X amount of points get redistributed is still kind of an unknown.
All right, thank you.
Hi, okay, first question. Is Onyxia going to deep breath more?
Yes.
Okay, anyway, so gathering professions. You mentioned that archaeology is a gathering profession that's a secondary skill rather than a primary one. Is there any thought given to maybe giving people the ability to have like one gathering profession and then 2 production professions? Please?
We actually did discuss that, and we decided against it because we want your professions to remain as a very meaningful choice, and we want to limit them to 2. And so what that does mean is that it'll give us more flexibility to make those gathering professions, you know, more powerful, cooler, that kind of thing. And just kind of also with this question, you will be able to track both things at the same time. So.
Hey guys, thanks. I'm a druid, and I really enjoy... Yeah, druid! I really enjoy the dual spec, because the fun of the druid for me was being able to do Feral, Boomkin, and Heal. And I was wondering, are you planning on ever letting us go a 3-spec or even a 4-spec if I wanted to pay for it so I could be a kitty as well as... And a statement, make the backpack bag more than a 16 slot. Bump that puppy up.
Was there... So dual spec is a pretty new feature for us. We're happy with how it's turned out so far. We'll advance in small steps there. We still want talents to be a meaningful choice. You're supposed to have to commit to some degree to your talent spec. We don't want you to just be able to change it too arbitrarily. So not in the immediate future. Maybe someday we'll let you have additional specs, but we don't want to, let the gas off on that too quickly. And backpacks, again, we're revamping the level up experience. That's a great time to look at something like that.
How's it going? All right, a really quick thing that you're gonna blow off probably. I've had a corrupted Ashbringer for a long time, and you kind of tease me, and it's cool that everything bows down, but are you gonna ever let us purify it, or is it just kind of stuck there?
No.
That's okay. See, that was the one I knew you were gonna blow off. All right, so I saw on there you're taking away AP and everything, and you're giving bonuses for agility. I didn't see warriors. What's up with us? Are you just more for strength? Anything from agility? Anything?
What do you got? Strength and stamina. What else do you need? No, I'm just kidding. No, honestly, the warrior gear is going to remain largely unchanged for the most part. What we're trying to do is take the people who have like 6- and 7-way split gear and make it more simplified, kind of in the way that Warriors, DK's, Reddit's gear already is. So other people's gear will look more like yours.
It's also possible we might put attack power on, say, a ring that we would want, class agnostic items like that, so that a rogue or warrior could still get an attack power ring, but you won't ever really see attack power leather or plate again.
Hi, I'm kind of wondering if you're going to give mages more utility in raids, because all you have to do is give warlocks the ability to make biscuits, and you kind of don't need mages then anymore.
I thought we already gave them the ability to make biscuits.
I'm sure the warlocks will disagree, but fire has decent utility with Scorch. We realize Scorch has some problems, and that is something we're looking into. We do have plans to give Arcane something probably in the 3/3 space. And Frost has replenishment. It's not going to be, until we get Frost DPS where it needs to be, they're not going to be a premier rating spec like the other two. I want a pony. She didn't like it.
All right, I've played a hunter since Vanilla WoW, and you guys glossed over the ammo not being consumable anymore. I was wondering if you could go into a little bit more about that. Will the ammo come off of a boss? Will it take a spot in your inventory? Could it be placed in the currency tab or something like that? How will we go about getting the ammo?
We're not entirely sure we want to drop it off of bosses for the same reasons that when, say, a relic or a totem drops, the shaman's happy and everyone else is mad. We've put some of those things on vendor badges where they seem to work pretty well. That might be a kind of thing we do with ammo. We're not sure yet. There's kind of one or two ways we could go with it. One is you upgrade your ammo as you upgrade your bow, and you're happy when the higher DPS arrows drop. The other way is we try to make it more of a choice that, like, hey, for this fight I want to get out the armor-piercing arrows, and for this fight I want to get out the fire arrows or whatever like that. And honestly, we just haven't gotten there yet, but that's the basic idea.
Cool. Thank you.
That's kind of the idea.
Why'd you nerf me, bro?
He has a mask of some kind. I can't tell from here what it is.
Come on, it doesn't look familiar?
The lights are kind of bright in our eyes. Can someone tell us what he looks like? Nice.
I think he's trying to take your job.
We've got a seat right here.
Actually, we'd like to say we do appreciate all your hard work on the forums, Ghostcrawler.
Thanks. More questions like that.
How's it going? I'm a resto shaman, and I got a question. I see that you buffed our chain heals and made it a 10% damage reduction. Are you trying to make us more like even healers, or are you trying to sway it like more tank healing, maybe raid healing? Are you trying to make us specialized?
The niche that we still ultimately want for the shaman is to be really, really good at AE healing. And I feel like one of the things we did in Lich King is kind of let druids and priests muscle in on that a little bit. We want to make sure that shamans are still great AE healers. And the chain heal buffs will help with that, and we want to go even further with it. Which is not to say I can only ever AE heal and I can't ever tank heal. I mean, you have some great tools to tank heal now too, and we just need to round it out a little bit more.
Thank you.
Hi, I was just wondering, in the future, will we be able to make spell plate while leveling blacksmithing?
Good question.
If it's useful.
If you want to level as a holy paladin?
Yeah, do you level as holy frequently?
Actually, I just tried it today, so.
Did you heal him to death?
Something like that, yeah.
Bubble hearth?
Yeah.
We could add that on.
Oh, yeah. Again, if it's actually a viable leveling spec, well, we could certainly do it. And certainly that's the place to do it as well, is through blacksmithing, because that's always an option to get it rather than, you know, throwing it in your face with a quest or whatever. So, yeah, certainly something we can look at.
Yeah, I mean, same thing goes with quest rewards and whatnot. We typically try and avoid any archetype definition during leveling, like tank, healer gear, because how many level 10s are like LFG heroic dungeon?
Hello. My question has to do with when Burning Crusade ended, you moved into a sort of homogenized stat format for more classes to use more gear, but a couple classes didn't fit quite well into that, specifically the caster shamans and the holy paladins with spell power plate and the balance between mana regen for resto and hit for elemental. So I'm thinking, you guys mentioned you wanted to find some way to make it work. Have you guys had any more brainstorms since the last talk when you said you might get rid of spell power on plate or something?
Other than people who want to see holy paladins heal with strength, no, that one is kind of outlier that we haven't found a solution for yet. It's still a topic of conversation once in a while. There's just no really, it doesn't make sense to put you in the Warriors DPS gear and go hit and strength make you heal really good. So until someone comes up with a magic solution, sorry, no. Yeah, spell power plate's here to stay for now.
Hi there. Basically, I've been leveling a resto shaman, and all I depended on was MP5. And now at this time, since MP5 has been thrown out the window, spirit-wise, will it be equivalent to all the other classes, or will the classes differ on mana regen, like
no.
with talents?
Sorry. I think the idea is just to sort of get Spirit as the unified mana regen stat for all the casters and get rid of any sort of discrepancies like the old Mage versus Druid had in Vanilla WoW. So ideally, Spirit would be just as good for you as it is for a Priest or a Resto Druid today.
Mostly related profession mounts. Are there going to be any multi-passenger flying mounts or any 310 speed profession mounts?
Good question. There is a distinct possibility of the multi-passenger flying mounts. I don't see any way of adding a 310% flying mount unless it was tied to an achievement that already gave you a 310% flying mount. So if you had one, we might let you make. So we would just say, oh, do you have one of these mounts? And then we could say, okay, great, you can make this new gyrocopter. So yeah, I could see us doing that, but I don't see us giving it to you as just a freebie.
Hello. Boomkin Druids get 9% hit through talents. Arcane Mages and Shadow Priests get 6% hit through talents. But Elemental Shamans and Warlocks only get 3% hit through talents. Is there any way that Warlocks and Elemental Shamans could get another hit talent?
What you're likely to see in the Cataclysm time frame, I still have to stop myself. Wait, I can't say Cataclysm yet, but it's okay now, I can say it. Hit through talents is one of those things we'd love to get rid of. It messes with itemization. It's not consistent among the classes. They're not particularly fun talents to take. You don't be like, oh, great, I gained a level, now +1 hit, I'm good. So more than likely, I would say hit's going to probably go away, and everyone will need to get hit that way.
Face right in the camera.
This new camera angle is extreme. Hello, BlizzCon. All right, I'll stop, I promise. I had a question about professions. So for you, Mr. LeCraft, I had it, hold on.
Engineering, blacksmithing,
All right. Give him a break.
Blacksmiths can't repair their own armor or any weaponry. Tailors can't repair any cloth gear, especially the cloth that they make. So in terms of giving buffs to the different professions, are there any plans to have that as a possibility? Engineers being able to repair trinkets, or maybe just getting rid of durability entirely?
No, I don't think the durability mechanic is going away anytime soon. That's one of the things that I'm sure everybody would love to see go away, but it's actually really good for the game because it keeps gold from inflating horrendously. And as far as repairing your own individual armor, we've talked about it, but kind of shied away from it because the engineers have the repair bots, and that kind of covers everybody. So mostly the idea was add reforging to those classes to kind of give them an extra thing to do.
All right, my question is pertaining to Resto Shamans and Resto Druids. How come Resto Shamans and Resto Druids don't have a magic dispel yet? I mean, whenever I go into threes, I rely on a Warlock, Priest, or Paladin. And if I face an RMP, someone is Sheep or Nova the whole game.
Should we tell them?
I would, yeah.
We originally set up this matrix, right, where some people can dispel disease and poison, and what happens is, of course, in PvP, 90% of things are magical, and that becomes the most important. So what we think we're going to do is just give that kind of dispel magic to all healers, and then let the poison, curse, disease, or
That's it.
defensive or offensive.
Oh, right, yeah.
Healing to so everyone will have their own little niche there, but everyone can do the kind of important dispelling you need to.
Dwarves have an amazing racial ability called treasure find, and I'm wondering what the hell happened to the treasure in the world.
They found it all. You want to take that? Archaeology.
Yeah.
Look over there.
I don't actually know what happened to all the chests in the world. I think it was, honestly, to be totally honest with you, it was mostly because of exploiters for the dungeon chests, and then the outdoor world just kind of followed the same philosophy of we couldn't make them cool enough, but we do have plans to make them cooler and reintroduce them. We actually have another guy on our team, Owen Langdon, is working on a whole system for that, where chests will give you like experience when you open them, and they have very cool stuff, but they're on longer respawns. So finding those with treasure finding is actually going to be a pretty epic event, hopefully. Well, maybe not epic, but it'll be better than finding cheese and silver coins.
Bolts of lemon.
How you doing? Thank you, Blizzard.
Thank you.
Question for you all. If you have a 310% speed mount currently, and multiple 280% speed mounts as well. Is there any chance, perhaps, since the 280% speed mounts are actually pretty cool looking, could we up the speed to the current 310% speed, please?
It's something to talk about. Yeah. Chris wants to do that.
It's possible.
Yeah. That is something that has come up before of you get these cool rewards that actually make your other rewards less cool because then you never want to use them again. And we have pitched around the idea that those rewards end up being a boost to all of your mounts just so they're not, just so you don't run into the problem you're talking about there. That's not 100% yet. It's something we're still talking about. But we understand the problem. What if we could just give you your riding crop instead?
No? Worth a shot.
310. My question is about Shadow Priest and haste. As you previously said, haste makes you press the buttons faster. Considering that Shadow Priests are mostly dots, that doesn't help much. Our direct damage abilities are on cooldown, so do you feel that's a problem?
I would say we want to get haste better for everyone as a stat. It's a problem when we have a stat that's great for one spec or one class, and then bad for people sharing that gear. So we always strive to bring them at least to some level of equality. I don't know, maybe we can improve that?
The other thing is, we're not ready to talk about the new spells that you'll get in Cataclysm. What you're likely to get is one at level 81, one at 83, and one at 85. And something we've talked about for the Shadow Priest is some kind of direct nuke that doesn't have a cooldown, that probably isn't as good as your big ones, but you could throw in there whenever the others are on cooldown. It'd be really useful in PvP too.
All right, it looks like we have about 5 more minutes for questions.
We'll talk fast.
First off, Greg, I am an engineering paladin, so I hate you. My actual question is this. Currently, we have no way of crafting staves, bows, or crossbows. Is there any plan to change that in the future?
We've kind of been holding out on those as the last vestiges of hope for wood crafting. But it's really not enough to make a whole trade skill. It's possible that we may add bows to engineering. Very gearish, I don't know, artified,
compound bows.
Yeah, compound bows. But as far as staves and what was the other one?
Crossbows.
Crossbows. Those will probably remain uncraftable, but they could be found as relics through the archaeology system or something like that.
Hello. The Feral Druid DPS rotation, I think, is the leading cause of carpal tunnel syndrome in WoW players.
John Madden.
John Madden. Yeah, exactly. Is there any? I'm actually fine with the amount of buttons we press, but is there any way of, for example, making it so we're not tracking 2 completely different resources in energy and combo points, letting us build more than 5 combo points but only spend 5 at a time at most, or anything like that?
We really like the cat rotation. It's when you talk to people that have played the spec for a long time, they love the way it plays. It's the kind of thing I'm kind of hesitant to mess with because people really like it. What we can do a lot better job of is making the default WoW UI communicate better to you that, oh, I have enough combo points, or oh, I'm on cooldown, those kind of things that people feel like they have to have mods for. I mean, it's cool if you want to use mods, but you shouldn't feel like you have to have them to play your class. So we'd probably tackle it that way. Or you could get a Manglebot.
Or enjoy your carpal tunnel.
Yeah, I have a question. Have you been to Oglemore and seen the 15 dead Torrens with filling out a website? Are you going to have some kind of mechanic to get rid of the gold spammers and stuff like that in Cataclysm or before then?
Well, the trial accounts have a very useful purpose. Obviously that's not the kind of thing we're super excited about seeing it's kind of out of our realm of expertise to talk about what kind of measures we could put into place to stop it, but you know, it's not something we want to condone, and once we figure out ways of kind of clamping it off, we'd like to.
Hey, I'm a Rep Paladin, just for everybody out there, and I have 2 questions right now. Okay, just one? When are you going to give Mortal Strike debuffs to everyone? Because you're doing that right now.
What happened to the no rep pally question addendum?
No rep pally questions. No, I'm kidding. We're terrified of a world where classes that wear plate that are so good at survival and healing themselves, such as Paladins and Death Knights, also have Mortal Strike. We think those classes would have to give up some more of their defenses to get that extra kind of offensive utility. Now, the whole question of how many Mortal Strike applicators do we need for arena teams and something like that is an ongoing discussion. We've been kind of hesitant to give it out, and then we went and gave it out even more to some more classes. So I think the future of Mortal Strike is very much up in the air, but I wouldn't assume that necessarily every melee or every caster that matters is going to end up with it.
Right. Hi there. My question is in terms of with the gear changes and the stat changes, what are you guys going to do for Pally Blessings to make them more in tune with the other changes you're making?
We got rid of those too. I imagine, well, anytime we do large revamps with itemization and class tuning, moving from Burning Crusade or even into Lich King, the class and item stuff is really intertwined, so I imagine they'll see the same treatment it'll all be unified. If spell power is now int, then spell power and int buffs may not coexist on the same class, or they may be combined into a new buff. I don't know.
Now, I'll tell you that another category of talents that you're liable to see go away are all the ones that improve buffs, like anything that improves a blessing or an aura, or things like improve Mark of the Wild, those are gone.
All right, guys, that's all the time we have. Please thank our panelists. We also have our World of Warcraft Q&A tomorrow morning at 10 a.m.